episode 10.
Episode 10, man. Let's go, dude.
You know, get right into like, comment, subscribe.
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna say
all the things. All the things.
It pops up right there, but I just want to say that episode 10, I think it's a kind of momentum thing. Like episode 10, I feel really good about that.
Yeah, so every like, every subscriber counts. It helps us in the algorithm. So share it if you're liking the post, if you're liking the content on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the platforms, man.
And something I guess we don't, talk about a lot is you can listen to it just audio.
Right.
Like, there's a cutoff. Yeah. I've tried to make it 25 minutes. At the 25-minute mark, there's still like 10 to 5 minutes.
Oh, no. Sometimes I felt like we filmed like the video content. Like it was a good conversation, but I felt like the audio sometimes was even better.
No, we dropped some gems in that.
Yeah, I was going to say, so for all the real fans.
Right. All the real ones, you know.
Yeah, all the real ones. You can check out the audio, man. I think it's good.
Yeah, man. Topic for the day, though. Something that we were just talking about at lunch was, we've done what we said we were going to do this year. This year has been a really good, and I guess this is more so like end of the year talk. But I mean, it's almost end of the year. It's almost November, a couple of days away.
Yeah.
But we've said. We said we're gonna do this year. We're gonna go after these things, and we actually did it. And so, because we had that realization. No, you had the realization. It was like, yo, we did it. And I was like, oh snap! Like this year, we really did step forward in those things.
Well, no, I think that was the thing for me because I remember we talked about I think a couple episodes ago about like the confidence and about achieving goals and setting that and being consistent with yourself. But for us last night, we're kind of tired. We're all caffeinated up right now. We're out late last night with some friends and stuff. But that was something that was a big takeaway for me. And like I think we were at a previous church and we were like feeling like it was time to switch it up, but we were prioritizing like, all right, if we were to leave, what are we looking for? What's important to us? And a big thing for us was that community, about to be able to meet people our own age and to be able to go out and to be social. Especially for me, I can speak for myself. Like I'm definitely very kind of introverted nature-esque, if that's a phrase, where it's like I kind of have my own people, I have my own routines, but I felt like it was time to branch out, meet new people, go out, do things I wasn't normally used to doing, and that's exactly what we did with this new group, man. So anyone who's in that group, we appreciate you guys, love you guys, and that's been a big thing for us. And so I remember we were on the phone, and I kind of just stopped and I thought about this even before the call. And I was like, man, can we just take a moment to appreciate that, like, we came out with this goal and we didn't even know if it was even possible because we felt like we had a good thing earlier and we're like, because I remember we had a lot of hesitation about leaving because we were like, we really got to find what we're looking for. And we're kind of not difficult personalities, but we're very unique personalities. So we don't click with everybody. And so to be able to have, exactly what I think we asked for is a blessing. You
just led me into something that we didn't discuss.
Right? Yeah, go for it, man.
No, I think what you're talking about is taking a leap of faith. Right. So we talked about that at lunch today of like, a lot of people say they're going to do this. They're going to do all that. Yeah. And I think you do need to have an internal like, okay, I'm going to go after this goal. Right. But at some point you need to take a leap of faith, right? Because at the end of the day, overthinking and doing all that kind of stuff is going to keep you in your same bubble, right? Like you said, we had these, is this going to work? Is this, we don't know, right? If there's a sermon, it's maybe God, if you look it up, I think it's Elevation. And it's that idea of, that new thing, that new job, whatever, maybe it's God saying, hey, do this thing, right? But you'll never know if you don't take that leap of faith. Yeah. And so I think in every opportunity that's given to you for us, like we had a friend that was going there before, kind of invited us, and then we were like, oh, we don't know if we want to try. But like, what if that opportunity, there's a blessing in there, but you won't know until you say yes. Right. And a lot of people's blessing, they're blocking it because they're saying no, but all they need to say is yes to let that thing in.
Well, no, I think a lot of times it's like, I think of that phrase, don't be afraid to give up good for great. And I feel like that's kind of where we were at, was like,
write that down, people.
I was going to say, because I think we were at a place where like we had a good thing. It's like we felt like we had a routine, like, we met, not at Elevation, but like we kind of had a similar interest, and that's how we connected. And like, we had a good thing going. And a lot of times they're just almost operating out of a place of scarcity of like, okay, I have a good thing and I'm just going to hold on to that because I don't want to lose that. And you're missing out on this whole nother world. Because if we stayed where we were at, it's like we would have never met the people we would have met, would have never had the social circle that I feel like we have now. We would have had all these great things, but we had to be willing to let go of the good thing.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of having an abundance mindset. I think you touched on that a little bit, but you have to realize that, and that's for people who just got out of a relationship, who just got out of a job or whatever. Like, for instance, 2020, 2020 wasn't good for me business wise at all. It was trash.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, no, it was bad for me too. Yeah, not a good year. Not a good year.
But I stuck through. I changed my business model. I did what I had to do, and 2021 has been the best financial year that I've ever had. And so, but I think that only happened because I built the momentum up. I said yes. I said no to certain things in order to like get that blessing. And I know that word is kind of like, oh, what does that blessing mean? Right. And to me, I feel like the greater thing, right? But it's funny though, like sometimes the blessing doesn't feel like the greater thing, but then again, hindsight is 2020. So when you look back, you can see like that needed to happen. Like for me, I look at 2020, and everyone had a trash 2020, not just me or you.
Of course, yeah.
But, I'm looking back like, oh, that needed to happen because there were some things in me that I needed to get out. There were some things that I need to overcome, just business-wise, personal stuff that, 2020 has taught me and even 2021 has taught me because, I can say for myself, I think I had a great year, like financially, but then like other parts of my life or whatever like that, I'm like, okay, I need to fix that or I need to do that. There's still things that aren't 100% laid out. Right. So I just think of that. Like sometimes you gotta like, let go of the thing that you think is good, in order to accept the thing that you don't think is good, but you don't know because you're saying no to it, pushing it off.
100%. Well, I think, even adversity is a good thing. At least for me, like sometimes like it's easy to look back on previous experiences that are negative and immediately chalk them as like bad. I'm going to forget about it. But a lot of times, man, like at least I'll speak for myself personally, my greatest development to be able to make me who I feel like I am today happened in the trenches of me being where I did not want to be, struggling with certain things or just like whatever the topic may be of like just being in a bad place, either like emotionally or physically or financially or whatever. It's like in those places, I feel like that's where you really become who you're supposed to be able to elevate out of that place. But you need that struggle to be able to, feel that fire, at least for me. Yeah.
I was talking to a friend and he was saying like every time he goes to a really bad season where it's like the business is not going well, the relationships aren't going well, just everything's just trash. Like there's always something on the other side of that. And to me, this could be wrong, but this is just kind of my principle of life. Right. It's, it'll be good if you can, when it gets dark, if you can just stick through. Right. I think when you start kind of like, going in your thing like, oh, this is really bad. This is terrible. I won't be able to get through. Instead of being like, this is just lasting for the moment. Like, I know that I'll go past this. Right. And something that, Pastor Tyson said last night of like overthinking about the past and overthinking about the future. You need to be in a place where it's like, I'm happy now. I'm happy today, right? I'm taking the joy for the day and, kind of like a little Bible quote or whatever is like, God gives you enough for today, right? To take today's, blessing, you're alive, all that kind of stuff, take today's blessing so you're not overthinking the future or overthinking the past because then that leaves you in a place of like, feeling like you're lacking something because like, I'm going to be happy once I get XYZ. Oh, I would have been happy if I did XYZ. Yeah. It was like, instead of taking a perspective of like, no, I'm happy today. Today's a good day. I'm alive. I'm going to find joy. And I think a lot of people, it's kind of like the thing with love, right? They think it's like, just like a feeling. No, you have to choose to love somebody. You have to choose to accept joy. Right.
Well, no, and I was going to say, because even something that, the pastor of our old church kept on saying was like, don't be dominated by your emotions. I think sometimes for me, it's really easy, especially when you're in a bad place, to be like, it's going to be like this forever. And like, I'm always going to think this way. I'm always, like you got out of a relationship you wanted to stay in. It's like, I'm never going to find love again. Or like, oh, like you go broke or something like that. I'm always going to be poor. It's easy to stay in these places emotionally. But I think for me, I feel like, throughout my life, I've had to really take myself out of my emotions and be like, okay, realistically, I know you feel like this, but it's like in reality, life goes like this. You know what I mean? So there's going to be some valleys, there's going to be some highs. So if you're in a bad place, just know that, like you said, stick with it and things will get better. I mean, obviously you have to be working on yourself and making sure that you're doing the work to get yourself out of that place. You're not just going to roll out of bed and all your problems are going to be gone. But just the consistency of knowing that like just the pattern of life is just ups and downs. So just stick with it, man.
And this may be like an out there thing, but I don't want to live a quote unquote easy life. Like, I don't want everything to come like I never had any grit into this. I never had any resistance, because I feel like that's where you learn the best, right? You know, some people like they may have grown up in a bad area or something like that, but there's such an opportunity there because there's so much in them, and they don't realize that they have. It's like, wait, hold up, like I've been through all this stuff. Like maybe these other people had, you know, better opportunities or whatever, but it's like I have something in me that they never had to go through. So the way I have to get this thing, and so that's how I kind of feel like I have this chip on my shoulders. Not like, I mean, I grew up in the suburbs my whole life, so you know,
started from the bottom.
You know, we go some Drake thing, but no, but I think that, you know, I've challenged in other areas to where it's like, you know, but I made myself a way. It was like, you know, I have this opportunity to win because I had certain adversities, and so you need to look at your adversities as like just another point on the scoreboard. It's like, oh no, this is actually the thing that could push me. Like, you know what I mean? You know, I feel like God does things in ways that we don't really understand why we went through certain things. Like something that we say a lot is like, God didn't make us like this for no reason. And so, you know, just how we are, right? Like God didn't, you know, make us like this for no reason. And so for me, I feel like that's an opportunity for us to like do the best we could in any situation.
Right. Well, I think especially if you start from a place where like you're at a really low point, it's like, I think for me, I remember I was talking to a friend about this, talking about like, you know, would you really want to be like, you know, joke around about like trust fund kids and stuff like that, how like they're born into money and how like people think like that's a better life. But in reality, like people, I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk who talked about this, how like these people who started off at the very top in terms of like financial status or whatever, it's like they'll never have that appreciation for like, I guess, a pride and like, you know, building themselves up, starting their own thing, and having that be the reason why they're successful. I mean, even Gary Vee also talked about how like sometimes these children are in the like the shadow of their parents, and how like they feel like they'll never be able to outshine them. People discredit their accomplishments because of where they started, and so in a lot of ways, man, it really is an opportunity to be able to prove yourself, have that pride in yourself that you can do it. And I think that's really huge going forward, man, because we talk about that all the time, that self-belief and that momentum. And I think, you know, that adversity is what creates that pride of like, oh, no, I really can do it.
Yeah, it's kind of looking at adversity as an opportunity.
Right.
You know, I think I said this maybe in the last podcast, and I also said this, I think, on an Instagram story. I was just like looking at the things in your life to see that, you know, just be grateful for literally every little thing, because that thing that you call as like, you know, not a blessing, like some people pray for the things that you have, and then other people look at it as like, oh, a burden. Like, do not, like, I put myself in a place that's like, I will not complain about things that somebody are praying, somebody on their knees right this moment praying for something that I look at as a burden. And it just shows how selfish we are, one, as Americans, you know, and you know how, you know, there is so much abundance sometimes that, you know, we feel kind of coddled or babied, or like things come so easy. Like we don't have to worry about what we're eating tomorrow or nothing like that.
Oh no, I mean, I think as a society, I think we're definitely soft. Like I think just objectively soft. Like you look back on like all the previous generations. Like and don't ask me why I was doing this. For some reason, I was watching clips from like the movie Troy and like Gladiator and all this other stuff. I'm like, I just thought back at that period of time.
They were men.
Bro, first of all, I mean, talk about war. I mean, these people were like slashing each other with like swords and spears. And I'm like, even that aspect of war is just like just so messy. Like it was just crazy. And thinking about how like people only live to be like 30 years old, and like you die from like a common cold and just like all these different things. And I'm like, man, first of all, just from like an awareness standpoint, people talk about, and first of all, romanticizing the past is definitely a thing. People are like, I wish I was in the 1980s or something like that. And I was like, first of all, most people who say that weren't even there. And then for the people who were there, I think it's really easy to overlook a lot of the problems because I think for some reason, like people just romanticize the past and stuff like that. But for me, man, I'm internally grateful to be where I am in the country and the family I have and the friends that I have. Because like you said, man, I remember, reading this article about people who have like various cancers and stuff like that. And this one guy said how you never really appreciate like just basic things like your health until you don't have it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it's like, you know, people like, you know, talk about veterans who like lost like limbs or something like that. It's like you don't appreciate like the basic things like being able to get up and go walk somewhere until you don't have that. And so I think for me, just coming from the frame of like everything that, you know, is important to me, I feel like I have and I'm blessed, and just coming from that frame of gratefulness. Because like you said, there's somebody who is praying for what you already have.
And I think that frame of gratefulness allows you to go harder in other things. And so I think that calls back to what we were talking about in the beginning of, you know, I think because we're net grateful of everything, we're able to look at things at a different perspective to be like, like I'm gonna go after that thing. And so that's why we're saying like, oh, what we said we were gonna do, we did. And that could be an underlying thing of just like us being grateful of what we already have. It's like, oh no, like I know there could be better out there. I know, all the cliches, but I think that, if you're grateful overall, you're able to have a perspective to look at things. And, it's good, but I think it could be better if I work harder in this area. And so, I'm glad that we took that approach this year in business and our social circle and stuff like that, to be able to be like, okay, we want those things, we're going to go after it. Like, stop overthinking going after it.
Well, no, and I was going to say for me, like, I remember something that, like, whenever I'm looking for motivation and stuff, and I think for me, like, motivation is like a feeling, like a temporary feeling. I feel like that consistency and that discipline is really what actually creates that progress.
Yes.
But so I think that's an underrated thing too. People will watch these like 45-minute long motivational videos. I'm like, you need to understand that's a feeling.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't, once again, going back to what I was saying earlier, you can't rely on feelings for true progress. It's really a mentality shift and discipline and all that other stuff. But for me, something that like gets me kind of like pumped up is thinking about the idea of like, I mean, once again, just the opportunity that we have, bro. I almost feel like a sense of obligation of like, man, there is somebody like, I mean, I think my dad was telling me about, there are people in India who are born into like these camps where they break rocks.
Well, no, slavery.
Yes, that's slavery. Yeah, well, exactly. Yes. Well, that's exactly what that is. And I'm like, I'm sitting here, first of all, like awareness. I'm complaining about my iPhone 12 Pro Max not scanning my face fast enough so I can get directions to Chipotle. Just, I'm getting triggered. But even like, just thinking about that thing of like, man, there are people all over the world who are just begging for a chance to have what we have right now. And I think for me, man, like, and I think to me that just fuels me to be able to make the most of what I have, because there's a lot of people who are dying to be in your shoes, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. I want to take a hard pivot, talking about like the social situation thing.
Oh yeah.
Something that I've been gathering lately, which is so weird because it's like we're mixing like real life and.
Well, no, and this is a weird line we have to walk to between, because like, I mean, obviously we have a lot of friends who watch the show, and so like we kind of have this thing of like we want to make sure we're still ourselves and that we're being authentic and we talk about the things we want to talk about.
But it's so fresh.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like we also can't have
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I was gonna say like calling to like the recent social events that we've been kind of going to, whatever, and it's just really like a lot of church events. Like people probably think like, oh, like what events are you talking about? Like it's
yeah, church event. Yeah, yeah. We're not talking about like hitting the club at 3 a.m. or that's just not my style. Yeah, you'll never see me there.
That's off brand for us for sure.
Yeah,
we're true Mavericks. Just start being so corny. But it's had me realize of like, we're getting older, just thinking about the girl thing of like, what do I want in a wife and like what do I want in a girlfriend? Of course, baby steps,
Of course.
Right. I just married the first girl I meet.
Yo, I was at I think it was lunch with my grandma, and like my grandma immediately was asking me. No, so we always wrap up like whatever meal we have, like a prayer and stuff like that, just the fam supporting you and stuff. And she was like, she just randomly took a hard pivot and she was like, Father, I pray that God, that Hunter would find a woman. And I was like, what?
Shots fired.
I was crying, bro. It was so funny. But like, yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, and just like it got me thinking of like certain qualities, like I think we've of course we talked about like qualities we like in girls and stuff like that, but like that sweet thing is such a high. It's very high on the list.
100%, dude.
Like because you don't meet a lot of. People who are just naturally sweet, who are kind. You have to take those into consideration because that's something we think about. Like. A lot of guys are like, oh, I just want the hottest girl in the room.
Right.
It's like, where's the girl with the most character? Like
underrated, bro. Like 100%.
Does she really say who she really is?
Right.
Like that's the type of person I want. I want somebody with real character. Right. Someone who's really going to be down for me and down for other people. Like who truly has a good heart. And I think that especially as guys, we're like, oh, if she's she got a nice body and she da da da. Right. It's like, what is her character?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's tons of girls with nice bodies out here, but like, what are they? When it's just you and them alone and you're talking about some deep topic, it's like there's no depth there.
Well, and I think it's important for you to have the awareness of like, what are you looking for in a partner, and then even like what type of partner are you looking for? Because I think sometimes people are just like single and they're just looking for a relationship to be in a relationship, and other people like you're looking for a soulmate. Other people are, like I said, looking for a girlfriend, and sometimes the stuff you look for in a girlfriend, like is kind of one level, but then another level is like a wife. And so like what characteristics are you looking for with that? And I think just being able to like you said, have those priorities about what's important to you, what, understand what kind of person that you are and like what kind of person would mesh with you. Because I think it's real easy to say like, I want this, and this, but it's like, but does that person want you?
The question is, why are you dating?
Right. Why
are you dating this person?
100%.
Right. And so, I date for marriage, right? So that means like, I want to break that down because some people actually may not understand that, because I feel like people have heard like Christian people say that, like, what does that mean? So you're marrying this girl? No, that means that I'm intentional about this relationship. Right. And so when I meet a girl, of course the feelings may be there or whatever, but I'm going to stop. I'm going to put a barrier there. I'm going to have, what are those things? Guidelines to the relationship, like it's a phone. No, I'm going to have these, what is it called? Boundaries. There we go. So I'm going to have these boundaries with me and the girl that I'm seeing, only really to protect, the realness of the relationship. I don't want anything to be clouded by lust or anything like that. I want to say, hey, do you really like me for who I am? Do I like you for who you are? And so we can figure out, what could this relationship look like in 5 years, in 5 months even, right? So you're going into the relationship with the awareness of the ending of it. Oh, that's good, man. That was good.
Yo, clip that.
Yeah. You're going into the relationship with the awareness of what could it be at the end, not what it is right now.
Right.
And so you treat this person differently. You're actually like really trying to figure out their character. Like, what are they like when they get mad? Like, what are they like when the waiter doesn't bring out their food?
Well, and I was gonna say, because even a topic that me and the boys were talking about was the idea of how like you'll know somebody who acts differently depending on the situation is a red flag to me. So like if you're like one-on-one with somebody and like, oh, okay, like they're a certain way, and then you get them in a group setting, I think we all have that one person who we know who's like completely changes up on who they're with and what context and blah blah blah. It's like, to me, man, that's a little concerning. I want somebody who's consistent, who's honest with themselves. And I think, to me, that's a little bit of a red flag if you're just constantly changing who you are, because, I mean, who are you really?
Well, and I think it's good to be able to be a social gecko. So so you can blend into certain things. But I think what you're talking about,
like fundamental changes in your personality. Like you're a literal different person depending on who you're with.
Right,
that's what I mean.
They're talking about Jesus, a woman, and just getting sloshed on there. They're like, oh, we're just getting drunk. It's like, wait, I thought you were, Bible quote. Like, what happened to Matthew, 3:16? Like, what's
I was going to say, I thought there was a Bible verse in your Instagram bio.
Yeah, it's like, John 3:16. That's what I'm going to say, not Matthew. But, like, people have these, things in their bio, and they wear the cross. It's like, if she got a cross on, it's like, check the character, my guy. Like, find out what she is about. Girls, find out what he is about, right? Like, just because he's 6 foot tall, handsome, he has his own business. What's
I mean, like, he might even have a podcast. Like, he might be wearing headphones on right now.
Just explain myself. No, but like, just because he's like the height that you want him to be, I'm like, yo, you don't want to be with him long term. Like, realistically, he's a bum. You know what I mean? And that's something. Let's be real, right? Yeah. And then, but that's something that I even talked about. It's like, I do not want to be with a girl that is lazy. Or I don't want to be with friends who are lazy.
Well,
like,
people in general,
Yeah, laziness actually irritates me, and maybe I need to work on that for myself.
Hey, I mean,
but people who are because I don't know. It's just like, it's like you're just gonna do nothing. Like you're.
Well, but at the same time, like I don't feel like that's even a bad thing for you to say that, because I mean, it's almost the fact of like, I'm not for everybody. And it was even like a conversation I was having last night with this girl. I was like, listen, dude, I'm not looking for everybody. Like, you know what I mean? And especially when it comes to like a life partner, and I like what you said about how looks, I think, are very important. I think if you're not attracted to, you can't just be with somebody because they're a good person. Yeah. There has to be more. There has to be an attraction. There has to be, these things that you care about. Maybe not every single little thing you ever wanted, but like, are the main things there? You know what I mean? That's a very important distinction. Right. No one's perfect. Newsflash, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And so I think just having that awareness of like, are the key things that are really important to you, are they there?
I want to be so silly right now.
Hey, I mean, send it, bro. Send it. It's too serious.
I'm like, dark hair, pretty. They start going down the list.
Hey, I mean,
no, but that's real, man. Like, I mean, we talked about this, and we may sound like a broken record, but sex is the hot commodity nowadays, and I think there's a lot of studies that a lot of people aren't having not having that much sex, but like I don't know how true that is, because like from my perspective, looking out in the world, people are getting slept with.
People are in the streets.
Yeah, they are giving it up for absolutely nothing. Like, know your worth a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that could get. But you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But I just think that like let's look for character.
Right.
Let's look for real people who are really truly connected, who are really who they say who they are.
Right.
And something I like what you said, that you're not going off of who you want them to be. Yeah. That is so dangerous, man. Bro. Because it's like, oh yeah, like they are, like they may have these couple things, but you'll excuse